CircaLasVegas.com. Use promo code BLITZ and party with Jason and Joe at Circa Resort and Casino. Sports, pools, Vegas. What could possibly go wrong? San Antonio's Sports Star. San Antonio's Sports Center.
Spurs looking to get back to that winning track there. Return to action after falling last night to the Pelicans as they're in Houston to take on the Rockets. Tip-off set for 8:30, a game televised on ESPN. And the scouting combine rolls on. Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reports the Cowboys have been meeting with defensive tackles, having former interviews with Alfred Collins out of Texas and potential first-rounders like Ole Miss's Walter Nolan and Kenneth Grant of, get this, Michigan.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history! A walk-off home run!
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge. What's up,
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me, however you may be joining, whether that's on 94.1 on your FM dial. If you happen to be listening online via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player at sasportstar.com, or if you're watching live on YouTube, that's right, we stream all of our shows live on YouTube. So you can just go there, search for SA Sports Star. Go ahead and like it and subscribe while you're there. You can also comment along with the show as it happens, all the shows. Great way to stay engaged, or just feel free to call in 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. Be sure to stay tuned because coming up a little bit later in the show, I've got a pair of tickets to the College Slam Dunk and Three-Point Championship April 3rd out at the Frost Bank Center. You're going to want to keep it locked right here for your chance to win. We'll be giving those away a little bit later in the show, but I appreciate everybody for tuning in already. Goldfinger, Fred Villarreal, what's going on, guys? Welcome into the show. Look, this is incredible because I look at, well, basically the San Antonio Spurs, and last night was wholly unacceptable. You have lost 2 straight games to a team that is far worse than you and also as injured as you, and you're doing it in just exasperating fashion, losing 19 and 17-point leads. And it's just embarrassing as a Spurs fan. Like, I understood the tanking when you were trying to get your star, but you've got your star. You've added an all-star to the mix with De'Aaron Fox, and you've got a potential rookie of the year in Stephon Castle. What this team doesn't need to learn anymore. It doesn't need to tank anymore. What it needs is to start to play cohesive basketball together, which this team apparently can't do. It's developing horrible habits from years past and sins of the past. And this morning on the Morning Huddle, it sounds a lot like AJ and Rob kind of getting a little bit fed up with the potential tank as well.
The Spurs, as we continue down this road of the season's gone, it's getting away now. The thing to watch is who's going to get minutes. Castle getting 12 minutes. I'd rather you just say, oh, Castle's out for the season. He hurt his leg. He's going to sit out. Like, 12 minutes is absurd. But what I do want to see is Harrison Ingram.
Yeah, it's time to see him and the McLaughlin kid.
Let's kick them around and see what's going on. Some of these guys, we know what they are, all right? And we know that they're not part of the long-term plans. Let's just face it. Champagnie,
last night was why Champagnie is a transient NBA guy. He's an NBA guy. I'm not mad at him. Man has pulled himself up by his bootstraps and turned himself into an NBA type. But 2 points last night on lackluster, lots of stuff. That's just not where the Spurs are headed. We love you, but you're not part of the long-term plan. So let's act as if.
And let's kick some things around, man.
But there is the hierarchy of a team. And and this is not Pop standing on the sidelines. It's one thing to be DNP CD when Pop decides. It's a whole other thing when it's Mitch Johnson that told me I am not playing today.
Well, do we still think that Mitch Johnson is making all those decisions?
Well, he's the guy looking down the graveyard and saying, "Get in, Thompson. Take your sweats off. You're in." I mean, he's the one that's doing it, whether the committee has told him before the game I am or not. The guy that's making the decision at the time is the one looking past me. So you have to get through the understanding that there is in higher level sports a hierarchy, a pecking order, where you have to kind of go down the line before guys get benched because their livelihoods are involved in this too.
Yeah.
You start, I got to try to get a gig, and now I'm watching rookie who might not ever make it get minutes over me. So you don't want the team to implode, but you do want to see new things.
Who cares if it implodes?
Well, I do. You don't want to sour the pool because you never know what comes out of that. We've seen utter collapses where you've had to trade 2 stars because something happened where it probably never should have, So you got to balance very delicate egos who have always been the best guy anybody ever knew at their sport up until they got here. So then you got to tell them, guess what? You're an 8-minute a night guy. Our team sucks. A guy that you're obviously better than now, who might very well take your job, is now going to get more minutes. And
I mean, sorry, you've had your chances.
Right, but grin and smile about it. You go, okay, I am. But then, you get nights like last night where you get 12 minutes of lackluster, and we're going to lose anyway. And so you got to be careful. And that's all I'm saying. And that's why losing teams turn into losing organizations, turn into decades of losses, because you don't handle the mental side of losing. It just becomes ingrained in you, and you get sullen. And
losers eventually become losers. It can become part of who you are.
Becomes that.
I get that,
and I do think what we're talking about is coming. But I don't think it'll actually happen until we are mathematically, physically removed from the playoff. And we did it last year. Once it was like, guess what? You're not making it. We unleashed Wemby. At that point, Wemby went bananas. So I do get the sense that there is this, let's keep the status quo because it's working and I can control this. And then we're going to learn about those dudes. The quicker we're mathematically eliminated, the more likely we are to see these kind of G League lineups that we want to see, quite frankly.
Well, losing back-to-back games to the Pelicans, that is a recipe for falling all the way out of the playoffs rather quickly.
Dude, that was bad. It was so awful. The collapse, just to watch it, just you could feel it. Everybody in the building knew it. Okay, well, 3 quarters of fun. Let's go ahead and win this game, and that's what they did.
Your next 8 games: at Houston, at Memphis, home OKC, home Brooklyn. There's
one.
At Sacramento, at Minnesota, 2 at home against Dallas.
You see one win in there? Now they're going to get another
2.
one because somebody's going to fall asleep at the wheel. But legitimately,
depends on how healthy Dallas is at that point.
We have to wake up every day when we look at this and go, the assignment is to improve without wins, to figure out who you are without having W's and L's being the primary decision making. And that's so difficult to do because you want winners. You want people to go and win games and prove that they're capable of doing that, not just at being very good in the moment. It's a balancing act, the likes of which we've never been successful doing without Pop, because we've never done this without Pop on a regular basis before.
Yeah.
So there's even more pressure on finding the right dude and having the right dude ready for the next dude that takes over this team. And we don't know which direction that could be. So we're operating under some vagaries. We really are. There might be looking at a game plan where some of these dudes are already mathematically eliminated. No matter how well they play, they don't fit the math of what the salary cap will look like. And we don't know what that is.
Yeah, they are 5-16 in their last 21 games.
And a lot of that includes Victor. So we can't pin this exclusively on the injury. There was some other questions that we were talking about before deep vein thrombosis that involved some of the stewardship of the team.
And checking up on that math, that means at one point they were they were 18 and 16. They were in the mix, and now they are just gone. Well, and again, I'm not mad that they're losing. They're gonna. I get it. I get it now. I mean, once Wemby's out, what's the point? But it is a little. There's something to losing the same way over and over, and
they just did it earlier last.
It's
night.
like they say, like, all right, let's compete for a little while, and then like there's some kind of a signal that goes out. The coach looks down and does the whistle, the fox whistle.
Time to jack it up.
And then they're like, all right,
yeah, we got it.
Mamu, you're in.
Mamu, get in there.
You know the assignment.
Yeah. And then fourth quarter just is a
above it. Okay, you know what really sucks? It's like Blake Wesley and who's the other one? It's
Malachi Branham.
Malachi Branham. No matter what, they have now been mathematically eliminated from playing time.
Oh man,
I mean they're so far down the graveyard.
They don't exist.
I cannot wait till the time they actually get in, and he doesn't want them to have their shorts on.
But Rob mentioned it right there, and this is something I've been talking about here on Extra Innings with Pledge. Losing begets losing, and at some point, young players learn bad habits, and all these players know is tanking. So, yeah, they've got bad habits because they haven't been taught any good ones, and that's their default setting right now. You're losing begets more losing, and that is a very dangerous road. The Spurs have been extremely lucky, and usually they don't plan to bottom out for long periods of time. Up until this stretch right here, the Spurs have never missed the playoffs in 2 consecutive seasons. When they have been bad, they've got the number 1 overall pick and back into not just the playoffs, but in Tim Duncan's case, championship contention. They've never been this bad over this sustained of a period of time in the entire franchise's existence. This isn't normal. And you can add bad drafting to it. Like Wemby was easy. Castle's great. And here's another thing. If you start messing around with Castle, whether you think he's tired or if you think whatever it may be, you can start messing with his money, because Wemby got the Rookie of the Year and was first team All NBA rookie. He's going to end up getting a rookie max because of that. Player contracts are incentivized by postseason awards now. So you benching Stephon Castle for long periods of time, which is a whole nother thing that frustrates me in and of itself, can cost this dude money. And as Gilbert P. says, his fear is De'Aaron Fox looks at this situation and goes, oh my God, what did I just get myself into? And as a guy who can sign a max deal coming up at the beginning of August, that's not a thought you really want noodling around in his head. And you can tell it's starting to affect De'Aaron Fox a little bit too. I don't know. I don't know about y'all. 210-656-3776 if you want to get in on the conversation, but you've got your generational talent. You've got your all-star. You've got another budding star. Tanking should be over. Now you should be working on getting better. And this team continually does the same things that it was doing 3 years ago, the exact same way, wrong. And maybe Rob's right. Maybe it is time for Jaleel McLaughlin, who you acquired in that trade with the Kings when you acquired De'Aaron Fox, as a guy who can actually shoot over 40% from 3, to provide some significant spacing. Or I don't know, maybe call up a Harrison Ingram from the G League and see if he's got anything to offer this team. Because right now, what you're seeing on the floor outside of Bismack Biyombo, who has earned a rest of the year contract from the San Antonio Spurs, there's not a whole lot of things to like in what you're seeing. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I'm James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. More on the Spurs as the Blitz was talking about the frustrations that I am feeling thanks to one Mitch Johnson. We'll discuss next right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Thursday on the Morning Huddle, they're running around in underwear in Indianapolis. We'll talk about what we're seeing from the NFL Combine.
And Spurs Rockets Wednesday night. We'll discuss whether the spiral continues for San Antonio. Party starts at 6. Don't be late.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Morning 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
For decades, Rudy's has been serving Texans incredible barbecue. But they've also been a community champion as well. And now when you visit any of their 4 San Antonio locations, just make a $10 donation to the Puppy Food Bank. And you'll receive a certificate valid for $15 in free barbecue and 2 soft drinks. So do the numbers. That's a $22 value for just $10. You'll enjoy great barbecue for less, and Puppy Food Bank can save more pet lives. Thank you, Rudy's.
Is that a new Samsung Galaxy A15 5G?
Yeah, I got it for free when I joined Cricket Nation.
Sounds pretty great.
At Cricket, anyone can get a new phone when they switch.
Whoa.
With a high-quality camera, meaning more flattering selfies for all, and super fast 5G, so you can post them for all to see. Your friends, your family, your ex. Free phone! Free phone!
Okay, I'll switch.
Welcome to Cricket Nation.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. These terms and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. You can follow me on social media at I am Pledger. You can follow the station at SA Sports Star. You can follow us on Instagram at SA Sports Star. You can follow us on YouTube at SA Sports Star. It's all SA Sports Star. And as a matter of fact, there on YouTube, you can watch the show. Take us with you wherever you may go, to be able to listen to us wherever you may go, even if it is to the North Pole. As long as you got internet access, you can pull us up on YouTube. Keep an eye on us. Comment along with the show as well. 210-656-ESPN. If you want to call in. Fred Villarreal says it's a weird year. Spurs have the 7th toughest schedule remaining. A lot of back-to-backs. Don't care. Like I'm tired of the excuses when it comes to this team. It's a young team. Yeah, so is Oklahoma City and Houston. Not a good enough excuse anymore. These guys have been in the league long enough, especially Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. The mistakes, the same mistakes. Rodeo road trip. Look, the Lakers have to go on a Grammy road trip. Like they get kicked out of their arena for special events too at certain times of the year. It's the Spurs aren't the only ones that deal with these unique things. We just publicize it here because it is a thing that happens. And it becomes a big deal. They are stuck in a perpetual cycle of losing that they can't seem to crawl themselves out of right now. And I understand losing Pop and Mitch Johnson taking over, and now with Wemby, like this year has been extra for them. but they have talent on this team where in previous iterations of this team, they haven't. And now I'm really starting to question how talented this roster actually truly is. And I'm talking about guys like Devin and Keldon and Jeremy and like people that we associated with potentially being part of the future of the San Antonio Spurs and how highly regarded they are within the Spurs organization. And the more we see of them, the less I am convinced with them. And it's only lowering any potential expectation of return value if you do finally decide to move off them versus beginning of the year when the arrow was still at least potentially pointed up with the Devin Vassell. It's too much for me, and it is just making my head hurt. Robert Spencer says time for the Spurs to get a new coach. I agree. Chances of bringing Steve Kerr to town, probably low. Why would he leave Golden State right now? I mean, he's still got Steph Curry. He's still got Draymond Green, and he just added a Jimmy Butler. They're trying to keep their championship window open. So what's the reason for Steve Kerr to leave the situation he's in? And I believe he's got a couple of years left on that extension he just signed. So if anything, you would likely have to trade for him. Eric Spoelstra just signed a new deal, I believe, last offseason that should lock him in Miami for a while. I've heard his name brought up. The truth of the matter is, if you're the Spurs, you've got to find a guy to shepherd this team into its new era. And that is an era that is not going to have Greg Popovich on the sidelines likely. Spurs 1890 says, true, no more excuses. So frustrating watching the second half of Spurs. It's frustrating watching the first half. That 20-point lead felt like it was gone in 2 to 3 minutes. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And a lot of that probably comes down to coaching in some instances. The Blitz with Jason and Joe were talking about Mitch Johnson and the frustrations with the Spurs, especially when it comes to the bench earlier today.
Unlike our San Antonio Spurs that are playing crap basketball. And that continued last night. In fact, I got pissed watching the game last night and I turned it off. I did. I don't understand this basketball team. They built a 19-point lead and lost again. And they're playing the Pelicans, a Pelicans team record-wise far worse than the San Antonio Spurs, but you wouldn't know that from what you've seen the last two games.
Well, yeah, because they blew a 17-point lead a couple of nights before in New Orleans. Got to say, De'Aaron Fox, he did not play well last night. Had an opportunity, turned the ball over late, and that really kind of sealed the deal. But again, they didn't shoot well overall. You know, you look at the box score and you see where Devin Vassell scored 20 points, but his shooting percentage was not good. The one thing that I liked about what he did last night, he got to the free throw line. And so I think Devin, trying to get out of his shooting slump, maybe is trying to get to the basket a little bit more. And I appreciate that, and I hope he's doing that. But probably De'Aaron Fox's worst game as a Spur last night, no doubt.
And Mitch Johnson was asked after the game last night if Fox is trying to overcompensate with Wemby not there.
I'm sure. You know, anytime you lose one of your top guys, I think the guys that already are doing the heavy lifting are trying to do more, and the people around him need to do more, and he can do a ton like he's already doing and let others help him in that regard, right? But I think everybody's probably pressing a little bit and trying to, and this season can be unforgiving, and we have to maintain our level of confidence individually and as a group while also sustaining a level of consistency of execution.
He's right? And I think De'Aaron Fox probably is, because he knows now he is the guy, right? De'Aaron Fox is the guy with Wemby out of the picture for the rest of the season. And so he's trying to push a little bit. What I don't like, and this is before De'Aaron Fox got here, the Spurs have been blowing leads like this all season long. And that's an issue and a problem.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times where it's tough when you put in 20 minutes of really hard work and get a lead, and then in 2 minutes, it's like poof. And that's where the snowball effect of multiple mistakes in a row, whether that's, and sometimes the mistake can be taking a quick shot, not necessarily a bad shot, but the game calls for a different possession there. And that's some of those where there are certain things that you can do to try to minimize runs. Teams are going to make shots, teams are going to make plays, but there are certain things that we can do and individuals can do to minimize some of those runs. And that's where at times we're almost fanning the fire when we're in the disadvantage on some of those runs. And that's something that we're, emphasizing and need to continue to be better on.
19-point lead. First quarter was great last night. Second quarter, not so much.
Dude, it was 20 minutes of hard work. We have a 48-minute game, but we only want to work 20 minutes. I know, and I've said this, every loss right now is a win. Jack Thompson, Rob Sun just texted me that too. And I've said that before. The best thing that can happen now for this Spurs team, get into the lottery. But the reality is they don't have to try to lose games because they're not very good. And they don't appear to be very well coached. When Pop first went out and they promoted or announced Mitch Johnson as the interim coach, I thought that was an interesting move and probably something along the lines of a plan. But why is Brett Brown not making the decisions? Why is Brett Brown, who has head coaching experience and a lot more experience than Mitch Johnson, making these decisions? The coaching, the in-game coaching is bad. And at what point is Mitch Johnson in over his head? Will he be a great coach one day? Maybe. Is he one of those, young basketball minds? Are they grooming him for something later? Are they telling us, hey, we're letting Mitch learn on the fly because this is going to help him down the road and maybe help the Spurs down the road? Brett's been there, done that. But last night, he benched Steph Castle. Steph Castle played 12 minutes last night, and Mitch says it's because he was making mistakes.
Yeah, that first 8 or 9 minutes, I believe, of the game, we didn't make us up. That group really got it rolling, and we just kind of were going to let them ride the hot hand. So the first half rotations probably were a little unique just from even what we were expecting to do because we didn't want to stop our own momentum in that sense. And then, there was just a few mistakes that were made that, in a game that was close and going back and forth, we needed as much solid basketball as we could get. It was just a decision that I made on a few different situations.
Now, look, to Mitch Johnson's defense a little bit, Steph Castle got 3 fouls pretty quick. He did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he turned the ball over 3 times in his short period of time on the floor. But this is not the only game. So if you could say, okay, if that was a one-off, I get it. Foul trouble early, turn the ball over 3 times. Okay. But this has been a trend since the All-Star break that he's just not playing many minutes at all. 20 minutes is like a long night for Steph Castle. So I'm not exactly sure what the Spurs are trying to do with Steph Castle. It's baffling. I mean, it really is. And it seems to me if Jack Thompson saying that, it's a good thing. Well, that's fine. If you're tanking, if you're losing games, you want to get in the lottery. Okay. But doesn't it behoove you to get one of your young players some experience, to have him play?
Yes.
And play a lot and get the NBA experience that he needs, not sitting on the bench. And at this point in time, if you are tanking and that's the goal, then why is Chris Paul still playing? Why is he playing so many minutes? Honestly, why are you not playing some of these other guys? Jeremy Sohan, he's kind of been forgotten on the bench to some extent. I mean, 19 minutes last night. So it doesn't make any sense to me if that's what you're doing. And again, you're not tanking. You're just not good enough to win. I mean, they're going to get rolled tonight. They're going to get rolled on Saturday in Memphis. And then they come home to Oklahoma City. I mean, look, the schedule is tough going forward. They're not going to have to try and tank. They're going to lose anyway. So why not get Steph Castle the experience that he needs to be better next year.
If they're allowing Mitch Johnson to coach through his mistakes, why is Steph Castle not playing through his? If shooters shoot their way out of a slump, Devin Vassell struggling with his shot, not finding his way to the bench, and Mitch Johnson saying the other day he's got to keep shooting. Why is Steph Castle not able to play through? Hey, coach him up on the bench and put him back out there. I mean, for a number of years now, we've seen a lot of mistakes made by players because they have to learn. Steph Castles could win Rookie of the Year, but he's not going to win Rookie of the Year sitting on the bench with 12 freaking minutes. That's not going to happen. And again, I know it's other than for him personally, if he wins that for money-wise on contracts, but give fans something to get excited about. Right now, Defensive Player of the Year, that's out. So do we get a Rookie of the Year? I want to see the future and what I'm seeing out of Mitch Johnson. And I gave this guy benefit of the doubt, weird situation early on. But at this point, he's not getting it done. And if you've got Brett Brown sitting right there, why is Brett Brown not getting an opportunity to make these decisions late if you're trying to win? And listening to Mitch, I think they're still trying to win, which is beyond me. But even then, when you watch, and all of us sitting at home, we armchair coaching this thing, just the decision making, some of the plays, all of it right now, not at all thrilled with what I'm seeing from Mitch Johnson as the interim coach. And more baffling that I look and I see Brett Brown sometimes looking like, the hell are you doing? Right? I mean, there's sometimes you just, all right. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. What their community, I don't know. But
is Mitch Johnson when before Pop went out listed as assistant one?
No.
So I wonder who made that decision, because look, Pop, I'm quite certain after Pop's stroke, he wasn't in any condition to make any decisions as to who's going to take over. So I don't know if Pop made that decision before the stroke. If I go out of the game, if I get thrown out or whatever, then I want Mitch to take over. I mean, that had to be the case, right?
Yes.
Because Pop was in no condition to make that call unless he made it already before that happened.
My assumption is all these scenarios are laid out before the season starts. If I'm sick, Pop's called in sick a couple of times. If I'm sick, Mitch is the coach. I don't know. The announcement was made so soon. It was like, this was the plan. Unless Brett Brown doesn't want to deal with it. Brett Brown might be like, yeah, dude, head coach has to talk to the media. I don't want to do that.
That could be.
Head coach has other responsibilities. I'll just sit here and be first assistant, and I'll stay in that role. I don't know, and I don't know. It's
well, it's frustrating again,
yes.
And again, you can't. Wemby's injury is Wemby's injury, and or blood clot, medical condition, whatever you want to call it, and there's nothing you can do about that. That's just unfortunate, and it's bad luck. But look, this team wasn't playing that great when Wemby was healthy. Okay, they weren't. I mean, let's face it. It's not like we're right there. Wemby got hurt. Oh man, the season's a take. This team was not consistent with Wemby on the floor. So there's issues all over the place with this team. And I think, hopefully they figure it out. De'Aaron Fox, I still think was a brilliant trade. And I think most people agree with that. But again, this team was inconsistent with a healthy Wembanyama. And now without him, it's a disaster.
It's a weird year. Everything with Pop, now with Wemby. It's been a weird year. Getting to the lottery, but if you've got a 17-point lead, you might as well go ahead and win the game. And you can't blame it on mental fatigue.
I do think that this team has done a heck of a job with dealing with a lot of unforeseen circumstances this year. I think a level of mental fatigue would be a fair assessment. I do not think that is a reason why some of those things are happening, which you alluded to in terms of the turnovers and the gameplay. But our margin for error is just zero right now. So whether that's making free throws, converting plays, when you turn them over and you have an advantage, executing a play, executing a defensive coverage. We just have no margin for error right now. And in this league, sometimes that can be the difference. The 48-minute game is long for us right now, and we have to continue to challenge ourselves to lessen some of those mistakes.
You can try and lessen them all you want. You can try and get in the lottery. You don't have to try to get in the lottery. You're going to be in the lottery. You're not making the playoffs or the play-in. You will be a lottery team. What you're trying to do is increase lottery odds at this point in time. And to me, it's best whether you have that pick, land it, whatever. Maybe it's best to move off that pick, even if you draft extremely highly. Maybe it is an attempt to go get a Kevin Durant or a Lauri Markkanen or a proven NBA player so that you can start moving this thing forward. Because every time they add another piece, same excuses are going to come up. Well, they're young, they're learning. I don't know about you. I'm sick of young and I'm sick of learning. Other teams are dealing with it. Spurs need to learn to deal with it too. Stephen Jones spoke at the NFL Scouting Combine, and, well, what he had to say, does it make you feel any better, Spurs Cowboys fans? I will get with you about that coming up here on Extra Innings with Pledge on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
San Antonio Sports Star. It's The Blitz with Jason and Joe. Afternoons at 2.
Coming up on The Blitz, would you like to be able to vote on legalized gambling in the state of Texas?
There's a state representative named Matt Shaheen that doesn't want you to. He will join us on The Blitz at 2:35.
And Dallas Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer will talk at the Combine.
We'll hear from him and more. The Blitz starts at 2.
The Blitz with Jason and Joe. Afternoons at 2 on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
America's Diamond has never sold lab-grown diamonds, and we warned our clients, friends, and neighbors that wholesale prices would crash to almost nothing. 2-carat GVS2 lab-grown diamonds are currently being traded at wholesale for $264, but some jewelers are still selling them online for $3,000 to $4,000. Repeat, wholesale $264, retail $3,000 to $4,000. Some retailers are selling 1-carat lab-grown diamonds for under $300, and others are giving them away for free with purchase. Lab-grown diamonds are very easy to detect with gemological equipment. Tens of millions of carats are produced in huge factories in China and India, using a tremendous amount of subsidized electricity supplied by coal-burning power plants. America's Diamond has only offered traditional, real, natural earth-grown diamonds that are rare, extremely beautiful, and have had real value for centuries. See our television program tonight on ABC KSAT 12 at 12:35 a.m. or right now at americasdiamond.com.
The second half of the basketball season is here, and the race to the playoffs is heating up on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is really simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projection, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Don't miss your chance to cash in as the league's best fight for playoff positioning. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available to play in more than 40 plus states, including California and Texas. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code ROAM and get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROAM on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 bonus credit for just playing, guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Tomorrow morning at 6, it's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Check them out on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pledger. Thanks for joining me today. Of course, you can always be a part of the show, whether that is commenting on our YouTube page or calling in at 210-656-ESPN, 210-656-3776. Lewis did. Lewis, welcome into Extra Innings with Pledge, my man. What's going on?
Yeah, Pledge, I was just kind of thinking, first and foremost, Wemby being out, so unfortunate. And, that's just something out of Wemby's control. And that right now, it looks like the season, it's not really going anywhere. So I was just curious on, what's your take on maybe, shutting Fox down. He has to have surgery in the off season on his finger or his hand or something like that. So
Thumb,
what do
yeah.
you think about just shutting him down and getting him healthy for the next season?
I mean, do you want to shut him down? He hasn't even played a home game yet.
The thing is I'd rather him be healthy for next season. And I know it's something that doesn't seem too it's going to affect him next year, but I mean, it's going to help us tank and get a better pick anyway, because it's not going anywhere.
Do you want a better pick? Do you know who you want outside of Cooper Flagg?
I definitely want a better pick. I want Flagg.
I mean, everybody wants Flagg, but like the odds are not in your favor, no matter how bad you are. So at what point, and this is just me asking you the question, are you tired of tanking in terms of, obviously this team has a bunch of bad habits it's learned through multiple years of tanking, that they are consistently doing the same things wrong over and over again? At what point do we stop trying to make it look like we're trying but not really, and hope these kids pick up some good habits on how to close out basketball games and hold on to leads and play with a sense of fire and urgency to be able to compete going into next year? At what point do you want to see growth and development from this team? Because those are two words we have not seen, but we hear every year.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But at the same time, you have Castle that's not really playing that much. Let him be on the court and grow like that. So if you're going to not play Castle that much, then might as well just sit Fox down and try to get as best pick as you can.
Sure. Get the best pick you can, and you can ruin that guy too. I mean, but it's true. Like, at what point do you start moving forward? Is it after you have 6 number 1 overall picks? 5? Create a whole starting 5 with them?
No. I mean,
you've got Fox, you've got Wemby,
point.
you've got Steph Castle, who looks like a budding superstar. You've got a veteran like Harrison Barnes. Like, at what point can we start expecting something from this team and not creating the same dumb mistakes that blow leads over and over and over again, especially early in the season? Like, at what point do we start expecting things from this team? Other than learning how to lose.
That's a fair point. It's just it's one of those frustrating things. So, but thanks for having me on the show.
Not a problem, man. You're welcome to call in anytime, Lewis. And I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at the frustration of the situation of the San Antonio Spurs, because once you get the number 1 overall pick, once you land the generational talent, that is supposed to be the catalyst that moves you forward. And then you traded for an all-star on top of that. And yet we still have not seen any returns. And it bothers me when I hear Mitch Johnson talking about a budding superstar who could be the rookie of the year and benching him for letting him only play 12 minutes because of mistakes.
Yeah, that first 8 or 9 minutes, I believe, of the game, we didn't make us up. That group really got it rolling, and we just kind of were going to let them ride the hot hand. So the first half rotations probably were a little unique, just from even what we were expecting to do, because we didn't want to stop our own momentum in that sense. And then, there was just a few mistakes that were made that, in a game that was close and going back and forth, we needed as much solid basketball as we could get.
That's the part that annoys me. There were a couple of mistakes that were made. Only Castle was making the mistakes? I see mistakes out of Keldon and Devin and Jeremy and everybody. This entire team does nothing but make mistakes, yet you're punishing only Steph Castle. Why? Why just him? Why is he the one being made an example of when you can consistently see mistakes, turnovers, whatever it may be, from almost everyone on this roster? It bothers me to no end. Gino, welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure, my man. What's going on?
Hey, Pledge, my thing is I go back to when just before Golden State made their run, they had Mark Jackson as a coach, and he wasn't getting, I don't think his voice was getting carried over with all the talent they had there, right? So they brought in Steve Kerr, and they went on that championship run.
Yep.
We need to change the voice in the locker room. I don't think Mitch Johnson, Greg Popovich, the Pop, whatever, the God that he is, time has moved on. We need somebody to hold these players accountable and stop catering to them and get somebody that's going to kick them in the ass. Excuse my language.
No, you're good.
We need to start holding these guys accountable for their actions, and we're not. And all we're looking for is the next best thing. Well, the next best thing ain't going to come if you're not going to be willing to put the work in. And I really think that's what we need to start focusing on, is getting the right coach in here. I don't know who that is, but, I don't think Pop's coming back. And we all have to, in San Antonio, have to deal with that and understand that. And I don't think anybody that's on the staff right now is the right coach for the future. I think we need somebody with a new voice that's going to hold this team accountable, and we'll start seeing players turn around and change the game. Look at Detroit, right?
Sure.
Dan Campbell has started holding those players accountable, and in 3 years, the same team that was up there with all those other coaches all of a sudden are winners. So I think that's what needs to happen, and I'll listen to see what you have to say.
You're right, Gino, and that's not the only thing that they've changed in Detroit. Remember, Monty Williams signed a massive deal to be the Pistons head coach. He got nothing out of that team. They abruptly switched gears and went to JB Bickerstaff, and the Pistons are a playoff team this year.
I agree.
Look at Quinn Snyder and what he's doing in Atlanta with a team that everybody here in San Antonio thought was going to have a chance to vie for the number 1 overall pick this year, because we own their pick. And Quinn Snyder, despite injuries, despite trades, despite everything, still has that Hawks team in the playoff and play-in consideration.
Well, look at our neighbors down the road. Look at Houston. Look what they're doing.
Missed opportunity letting Ime Udoka go to Houston and not bringing him home to San Antonio.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%.
Appreciate the phone call, Gino.
Thank you.
I do think probably it is time for a new voice. I think it is time to start to push this thing in a direction to see results, because at some point, as AJ mentioned in the first segment, losers turn into losers at some point, because that's all you know, and that becomes a hard culture and habit to break. We've seen it across all sports, no matter who you're in, and it takes a culture buster to change things within that organization. And the Spurs are steadily moving closer to needing that help to break the culture that has them stuck in this perennial land of losing that they've been stuck in for the past 4 to 5 years now. Last time they made the playoffs was 2016? It has almost been a decade now since they were playoff relevant. That's a long time. I know it feels like yesterday Tim Duncan retired. It's not. And it's time to start thinking about the future of this franchise and the direction it's actually going to go. What do y'all say? 210-656-ESPN, or comment on the show on our YouTube page. You're always welcome to chime in there. Keith Best says, not a Spurs fan. Me too. I'm a Rockets fan, actually. Spurs just want to quit. Need to build good habits, not the bad ones they've been building. 1000%. And Keith, I'm technically not a Spurs fan, but I feel I am more upset about this team than actual Spurs fans right now at points and times. And they should be frustrated, but all I hear is trust the process, or, the Spurs way, or they've got a plan. And until you start seeing some positive results of that plan outside of lottery balls that may have fallen in your direction, I don't know what other hope Spurs fans have to look for. We'll take your phone calls coming up. 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson.
Thursday on the Morning Huddle, they're running around in underwear in Indianapolis. We're talking about what we're seeing from the NFL Combine.
And Spurs Rockets Wednesday night. We'll discuss whether the spiral continues for San Antonio. Party starts at 6. Don't be late.
It's the Morning Huddle with AJ Hoffman and Rob Thompson. Mornings 6 to 10 on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Mellow Mushroom has the best pizza in San Antonio. Mellow delivers the best pizza experience with their delicious dough, premium ingredients, and unique flavors. Delivering a higher order of pizza is the standard. If Mellow can make a pizza this delicious, imagine what they can do with munchies, greens, calzones, and burgers. Mellow Mushroom has San Antonio's best happy hour with food specials and half-off adult beverages. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 and Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
Hey, this is Rob Thompson from my good friends over at Prize Picks. Hoops are here, baby. It's time to turn the page and start playing games we can win. And now you can win up to 1,000 times your money over on Prize Picks just for doing what you love, watching basketball and picking those that you like. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money on sports action. There's over 10 million of us doing it. You should be there too. And right now, there's no better time to get in on the hoops action. If you think Steph Curry can get more than 5 3-pointers this week, now's the time. Is the freak going to get 35? I don't know. I do know this. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5, and you don't even need to win. You can receive a $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. And have you ever played Taco Tuesday? That's right. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks offers promotions that can lead to big payouts. Here's how you play. Go download the app today and use the code Alamo to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. I'll say it again. Download the app, use the code Alamo, and get $50 instantly after you play your first lineup. Prize Picks. Go run your game.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Lowe's knows that your deadlines don't change, even when your job does. But with Lowe's Buy Online, Pick Up in Store, we'll help you adjust on the fly. And when you absolutely can't leave the project, we can deliver to your job site as soon as same day. Lowe's knows pros. We help, you save. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
The NFL is on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. Keith Best back in the chat on our YouTube page saying Wemby should be good, but not David or Tim Duncan in his opinion. Says Duncan was next level. Castle's a stud. Treat them like Manu and Parker. Spurs will be good and bad early in their careers. Castle shouldn't be any different. Agreed. Like, I think Castle should be getting tons of run that he is actually not getting right now. What say you? 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. Wanted to get into some Cowboys too, but you want to continue to talk Spurs? I'm here for it. John on line one. John, what's going on? Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure, my man. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, my opinion, I'm kind of piggyback off of what you and the last caller talked about. I think he's lost the locker room. I don't really think they're responding to him. Number one, what happens after the second quarter? I mean, a lot of coaches make adjustments, strategize differently. We just blow 18, 20-point leads and just are a totally different team in the third quarter. Like we just give up. And what does he tell the team? Team, keep your foot on the gas. Keep your foot on their throats. I mean, what
is it on Mitch though, or is it on the habits built by Greg Popovich during this time of blowing late leads against teams to make sure that they had the right lottery balls to land Wemby and Castle.
Well, that's a great point, but to Pop's credit, we did have to,
it worked,
tank essentially for Wemby, but it still happened nonetheless, right? So, I don't know, were they not listening to Pop either? I mean, the last caller said we need a new voice. Maybe that's the key. Maybe somebody told them accountable more. But again, I mean, that's such a drastic one half to the second half, and we just are a totally different team. I don't know what's happening.
Are they not getting orange slices at the half? Are they tired because they're not getting their orange slices? I mean, what's going on that is really happening that is causing such drastic swings? And
I make excuses
to be fair,
all the time.
To be fair, it's not like it's not starting in the first half. They will build these massive leads in the first quarter sometimes and lose them before the half to where it is a tie game or they are up or down by 1 or 2 baskets. Like, this isn't like a second half they come out and everything falls apart kind of thing. This is they get a big lead and it disappears even faster than they build it up.
The current lineup, they're not the greatest 3-point shooting group. We talked about it a little bit ago. Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, McLaughlin, I think is his name.
Jaleel McLaughlin, right. You got him in the trade for De'Aaron Fox.
40% 3-point shooter.
God, it seems like this is a team that could use that, right?
Yes. And the other guy, and he's, I think, a rookie, Riley Minix.
He's hurt, done for the year. Got injured in the G.
Oh, okay. I saw him in the G League.
But their second round draft pick, Harrison Ingram, is a big that can space the floor.
Yep.
Out of Duke. I mean, that's a guy that I wouldn't mind seeing for the stretch run if we're just not trying to win games.
At this point in the season, who cares who gets what? Who cares what starters get butt hurt? Just put everybody in that can shoot a 3. I mean, that's what the league has evolved to. It's just who can shoot. Get out here and do it.
Exactly. Man, John, I appreciate the call. You're welcome to call back at any time, my man.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks.
Oh, man. Look, I have my frustrations with this team, and I'm at a point where I think a lot of Cowboys fans were at late in the year or late in the off season last year when the Cowboys did absolutely nothing through free agency. And I mean, that's as worked up over this as I feel Cowboy fans were over that. Speaking of the Spurs, though, they're looking at a bunch of college players coming up in the draft, trying to get the lottery balls to potentially get them. Well, the College and Slam Dunk 3-point championships will be here at the Frost Bank Center on April 3rd. And I've got a pair of tickets for you to try and go to that for free on me. All you got to do is be caller number 5 right now at 210-656-ESPN. That is 656-3776. My parting gift to you. Remember, be sure to call your loved ones. Make sure that you check on them because you never know what they're going through in life. And just a simple phone call sometimes can help out. This has been Extra Innings with Pledge. We'll see you tomorrow.
San Antonio's Sports Star. Ready for the ultimate sports fan getaway? 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star is headed to Vegas, and we're bringing you along. Why? Because watching the games from your couch in sweatpants just isn't the same. Join Jason and Joe from The Blitz for a Mega March weekend you'll never forget or possibly remember. We're talking Vegas here. March 27th through the